Hi, it's me, Chris Colley. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the city of Rochester Hills, Michigan, and I'm going to share with you tonight our Fun Fold class. So I hold classes in person, and you can also order them to go. This was one I did this month called Fun Fold. I do this type of class every other month, and we take one Fun Fold and we make 3 cards with it using different products, but always the same pattern. So we're going to start off with this one, which is from our Sweetest Friends suite. That is such a cool little suite. So you're going to start off with an 8.5 by 5.5 card base, which is your regular card base. And I'm just going to score it here really good for us along that 4 1/4 score line. And then I have cut these at 1 1/4 inches from each side all the way up to the score line. Okay, so it's 1 1/4 inches here and here. And then I've taken some paper, and we actually aren't going to do any stamping with this card. We are going to do, that one's going to go on the inside. We're just going to layer some pieces up. I'm going to actually put a little piece of adhesive on here so this paper is not moving all over. So I'm going to first line up all of my pieces so I know where everything is going to go. Okay, so I'm going to do this on here and this on here. And this one is going to be the front of my card. And that's going to go inside. Okay, so all of my pieces are cut, and these are actually 1 1/8, and then the designer pieces 1 inch. So it's 1 1/8 by 4 1/8 and 1 1/8 by 4. And I cut 2 pieces like that. And I am a Stampin' Seal girl. So I'm just going to add some Stampin' Seal. Get this centered on there. I'm going to do the same with this piece. And we come in and we make 3 cards. This designer series paper is absolutely beautiful. You have one piece that is just like scenery pieces, and so they're pieces like this, and you can use other parts of the DSP to add pieces to it. This piece I cut had the tree with the little door in it and the owl, and this one is from the same kind of section of your DSP. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere these 2 sides to the base of my card. So again, I'm just going to add adhesive to both of these 1 1/4 inch strips that we cut. Make sure they're nice and straight there. Then this piece is going to go right in the center, and these 2 pieces are going to go on the edges. Now if you want, you can line these up so that they have that fluidity, so you can see it looks like one single piece of paper all the way through there. And your adhesive is going to work best if you hold it at this 90-degree angle, so it's straight up. Okay, so I'm going to put these little pieces on first. And you're just going to leave a little bit of a white edge all the way around. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my middle piece on there. Now this, you can still get the paper for this. The dies, I believe, are in back order. So your bundle and your suite aren't available right now, but they will be back in, I think, the first week in July. So you just have to wait about another week or 10 days. So there we go. And these images have die cuts for them, but I just kind of fancy cut them. So there is like a whole page of little animals that have these die cuts that cut out all of the images on that particular piece of Designer Series of paper. And then I decided to go ahead and decorate the inside. And you can use your paper this way if you want. That's how I did it on my sample. So I'm going to go ahead and do it the opposite way here. I was really having a hard time deciding if I like that poo paper, that animal side, or the print. So this way I get to use both of them. And again, I just die cut these little images out to put on the inside of my card. And this is just such a fun pattern. Isn't that cute for the inside of your card? I think it is just adorable. I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Isn't it cute? I really like that. And then here is the other one with a different pattern up here. So that is our first card. And again, it is done with the Sweet Old Friends. And then it has the dies with it and the stamp set. Very, very cool. Now we're gonna do it like a little stand-up card. So this one we're gonna use the Relaxing Waterside stamp set and dies with this. And again, this has some great Designer Series paper with it, which is just gorgeous. Okay, so I'm actually going to share with you how to do your cutting. So I'm actually going to do my cutter this way, and I'm going to go ahead. Again, it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, which is your regular kind of card base. So I'm just going to burnish it on that score line. And then I'm going to open up my card and put it into my paper trimmer. I need to wash this paper trimmer. I'm going to take my 1 1/4 inch mark right here, and I'm going to cut right to my score line. And I'm going to move it over and take my 1 1/4 inch mark here and score it again. So for all three of our cards, we've used that 1 1/4 inch score line there. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, again, tape both of these pieces down, put some Designer Series paper on them, and put some Designer Series paper across the middle on the inside. Okay, so I've just added my adhesive there, and you can use glue if you want. Again, I don't like my glue too much, my green glue, so I prefer the adhesive, the snail adhesive. Okay, so I've cut a little piece that's going to go right in the middle here. it is just like a 1/16 of an inch too long there. So I'm just gonna kind of bend this up and then press it back down, okay? And then I have 2 pieces that are gonna go on either side. And these, we're not gonna leave that white trim around them like we did in the other card. Okay. So again, I'm just gonna add my adhesive on here. And I'm gonna line these 2 up. Let's see how they go. That's how they go, okay. So I'm just gonna add those to my card on these outside pieces. Okay, so this is gonna be the inside of my card. And what I wanna do is I want to make this an easel card. So I'm gonna bring my paper trimmer back in and I'm gonna score this middle piece at 2 1/8 inch. Okay, because this piece is 4 1/4, so 2 1/8 is just half of that. So I'm just gonna give that a good score right there. And I'm gonna set that aside for now. And this is gonna be my middle piece that's gonna pop up. So I'm just gonna add this to the center, or to the center of my crumb cake. And the crumb cake piece is just to add a little bit of stability to my designer series paper. And I'm going to give it some little seagulls. Actually, I'm gonna do my words in this green. And I'm gonna do, today is your day. I'm gonna stamp it in my Mossy Meadow. I'm gonna make sure, stamp it on my scrap paper and make sure it's gonna be straight on there. There we go. And then I'm gonna take some basic gray. I'm actually gonna stamp my words on here. I'm gonna do today is your day. Have a great birthday. I'm just gonna stamp that in Mossy Meadow on a little piece of scrap paper here. And then I'm gonna get rid of this Mossy Meadow. I actually, wow, this is just, I got my finger all over in there. Which just kind of takes a lot of doing, but I'm gonna just grab something real quick to clean it up with. So I don't get it all over all of the rest of my cards here. Okay, so we're gonna take our stamp pad here and I'm gonna give it just a few kind of gray seagulls. There we go. And I'm gonna add a little bow with my twine. And I think I'm actually gonna do a little double bow there. And you can, this paper is so beautiful. I hate to really add too much to it because these scenery pages that they give you, I'm sure that they're meant for scrapbooking, but they make gorgeous cards. So you really don't have to limit yourself to what they're used for. You can use your imagination and make them yours. So I'm going to make it just the middle of this easel card. An easel card stands up just as if it were on an easel. And I think the linen thread just sort of lends itself to this card because it is kind of rustic and looks sort of burlappy. I think that's a word. Oh my gosh, these must be the worst scissors in the world. I'll get my trusty old ribbon scissors out. I can put that away. I'm going to add this on with a little glue dot. And you can really put it anywhere on your card. But I'm just going to put a little glue dot right where the nut is in my linen thread. And I'm going to kind of go right in there. So it's just kind of by my words down there. Okay, and I am only going to put my adhesive on this bottom square there because it is actually going to fold up like that and stand like an easel. So I'm just going to use my adhesive on this bottom portion only. You can use your green glue, you can use tear and tape, you can use sticky strip, whatever you want to use on here. And I'm just going to add that right in the middle there. Okay, so you can see it's just kind of a really pretty card. I'm going to add some little, these are 20, 26, 20, 28 in color dots. So I'm going to add some of those. And I think I'm actually going to add these green ones. I thought I might want a little bit of a softer one, but I think these green ones are going to work. And I'll add kind of a bigger one down there. So they come in a small and a medium. I'm just going to throw those on the outside. And I'm going to bring in our little mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I happen to have the blue one here. And I'm going to use my number 1, my number 2, and another number 2 plate. So I'm going to line this up so I have my die cut and my words are just centered in there. And I'm going to put a piece of Post-it tape on there. And this tape is just like a little Post-it note. And when this goes through there, you want to add a little bit of a bevel here. So I'm going to use my 1 and make my 2 plate shorter and then put the other one on top. So you have kind of like the letter E there with the way your plates are staggered. And that just helps them to roll through the machine more easily. So just put them in there. I always put my hand up here to give it a little bit more stability. Had some nice new plates with this one too. And this just folds right up. So I can just store it away over here. Little box that it fits perfectly in. And I do save my Post-it tape because you can use it a couple of times. Just save it right there. And then I'm going to put this piece on dimensionals. And And I actually am going to use 2 layers of dimensionals for this. Meaning I'm going to stack them one on top of the other. And I'm going to add 3 going across there because I want this to be nice and sturdy. I want it to have a good base. And then I'm just going to stack them. So I'm going to put one right on top of the other one. There we go. Just like that. So those of you that ordered this kit to go, this is going to be your little step-by-step tutorial for you. So we want this to sit just kind of like that. I'm actually going to hold those up. So it's going to say, today is your day. Have a great birthday. So it's just a cute little, today is your day. And then it can stand and say, have a great birthday. So fun. The other one I did just says, today is your day. And it says, relax. And you can see it had a different piece of DSP, but they were both just beautiful, beautiful scenes. So you get the idea about what a gorgeous DSP that is. Okay, and we have one more. And this one is made with our lovely Arrangements stamp set, but we used our Velvet Meadow DSP, and it's actually a flocked DSP. So it's kind of velvety feeling. Very, very cool. Let's see if I can find it here. Here we go. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. I am going to bring in my paper trimmer. And again, those of you that ordered this one to go, this is exactly what you're going to do when you get your kit. It's going to look like what I started off with. So you'll have this piece here. And we're going to bring this in. And again, I'm going to take it to the 1 1/4 mark over here. And I'm going to cut up to that 4 1/4 score line. And just move it over to the 1 1/4 and down. Okay. And then this one, I'm actually going to be taping a little piece of window sheet or acetate. It's Stampin' Up! Call them window sheets or acrylic sheets. So I've cut a piece that's 5 inches by 1. I think it's by 1. Yep. And the first thing I'm going to do is attach that to the 2 sides of my card base. Okay. I'm going to leave it in the center. I'm going to leave it about 1/8 of an inch, maybe from the bottom. And I want to make sure it's nice and tight in there, but I'm going to take a little piece of my paper and make sure it's right. It has that right amount all the way around it, because I'm going to use this piece to cover that tape up. Notice I didn't put any tape in the middle. So there's no tape going on in the middle. This card is actually going to open just like this. And I'm going to make sure I have a really good crisp edge here. Okay. And I'm going to take 2 of my Berry Burst pieces of cardstock. And again, this is 4 1/8 by 1 1/8, which is the same measurement we used on our first card. I'm going to center that right on here, and they're going to go right on that left or right panel. So you have like a tiny 1/16 inch of white showing all the way around. And you are gonna cover that acetate white piece there on the window sheet. Okay, and then we have some beautiful paper here. Someone in the class wanted to use this side of the paper. They kind of liked that. I'm gonna use the other side. I like that kind of more, I don't know, it's more of a little pattern, but I think it's more complementary to my designer series paper. So I'm gonna use this one. And our designer series paper is so gorgeous that you could absolutely use whatever side. Sometimes I think deciding what side of the paper to use is the most difficult choice that you have to make. So okay, and then we have this patterned piece that's going to go in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up, put my adhesive on here. There we go. And I'm going to think this is the top of my paper. Whoops, I'm going to actually put that right on here first. I thought I had quite a large white area there. So I'm going to mount it on my Berry Burst. That Berry Burst is such a fun, bright color. And I actually got this card pattern. I took a class from one of my downline, Jackie Baradas, who was actually an artisan designer last year. And she does some classes. So I took one of her classes, and her cards are much more involved. I'll share some with you that I used to come up with these card ideas. But they're gorgeous, and you don't really have to be an artisan to use that card pattern and come up with a beautiful card. So you can be just a beginner stamper, you can be an intermediate stamper, you can just need a really quick card, or you can be an artisan and use these same patterns and designs to meet whatever stamping level you're at. So, and this fun fold is really fun, and this is our third card and our third sort of design with the same fun fold, adding just a little bit of a twist to it. Okay, so we're gonna now set this aside, and I'm gonna stamp my sentiment on here. I'm gonna use some Berry Burst ink. For my sample, I used Always Here For You. So for this one, I think I'm gonna use Thank You. Yeah, I'm gonna use a thank you. I'm gonna use a Hello Friend. Why not? And I'm just gonna stamp that right on my piece of basic white cardstock here. And then I am going to use, these are Garden Epoxy dots, and they actually have like little tiny flowers in them that I think are just so cute. So I think I'm gonna use just one of these right down here. I might just move it up a smudge if I can. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think I like it there. Okay. And again, you could add some ribbon here. You can add some more dots there. We just, because we're doing 3 of them in the class, we try and keep it as simple as we can. And we do have some beginning stampers in the group, so I don't like anybody to feel overwhelmed. So I'm gonna put some adhesive in the back of my sentiment. Actually, I'm gonna put just a little extra bit on there because it's gonna go on this flapped paper. So I'm gonna lift up these little arms. I'm gonna put this right at the bottom. Just like that. So you can see. Isn't that fun? I think that is so cute. So there's the one with the not flacked paper, and then this is the one with the flacked paper. So you have that same kind of fun fold with two different looks, just using different papers. So we'll go back. We did this one with the window sheet, kind of a middle spacer card. And then we did this one. That is your little easel card. I think that's so cute. And this can really easily be a masculine card without any issues. And this one, of course, would be more for a kid. I don't know, a lot of adults are little poof fans. So this one is just kind of the plain open in the middle card. So lots of fun with the Designer Series paper and that card pattern. And this is the one that I used for my sample that from Jackie, that the card class I took. So this is the easel card, which I think is really, really fun. And you can see how much she dressed hers up with her pieces over here, and we actually cut little tiny flowers out of the DSP. So it was a lot of fun. We added some postal tape to make our jars shiny, and cut some more flowers and ribbon up here. So lots more work, and obviously from a more advanced stamper, but still the same card pattern and a lot of fun. And this one, she did the same card pattern with your two strips here, and then covered it with Designer Series paper, and then this is your little piece in the middle. So this one, she has even a different orientation from the horizontal to the vertical. So great. I hope you guys enjoyed our Fun Fold class, and I hope you'll think about taking it the next time it's offered. Bye-bye.